Lesson 8. The Dark Arts of Power. The psychological tricks of incompetent leaders. But even in relatively well-designed systems, even where it would seem there are some safeguards, incompetent leaders can still break through to the top. And not just break through, but hold onto power. How? They use a whole arsenal of special psychological techniques honed over centuries of manipulation. Techniques that allow them to distort the perception of reality and neutralize any opposition. Incompetent leaders don't hold power by accident. Oh no, they are masters of the dark arts. And Machiavelli, he would have immediately recognized their tactics. Trick 1. Exploitation of tribalism and identity politics. As old as time, but an unfailing trick. Divide and conquer. They create clear, irreconcilable groups of us and them. Any meaningful criticism, any inconvenient remark is immediately declared the machinations of enemies, an attack on our values, on our identity. This instantly shields them from any real accountability and, at the same time, maximally intensifies the emotional engagement of their supporters. Psychologists call this identity fusion. Do you hear? When a leader successfully links their personal identity with the group identity of their followers, this very fusion occurs. And then, any challenge to the leader is no longer perceived as criticism of a specific person, but as an attack on the group itself, on its foundations, and consequently, on the personal identity of each of the followers. Think about how cult leaders like Jim Jones or countless authoritarian rulers throughout history masterfully cultivated this us versus them mentality. In Malaysia, former Prime Minister Najib Razak skillfully used ethnic divisions to retain power, despite deafening corruption scandals. The profound polarization of Brazil under Bolsonaro vividly demonstrated how tribal, identitarian loyalties can completely overshadow objective reality. Trick 2. Cognitive overload and information terrorism. Constant chaos. Endless crises, real or fabricated. A stream of contradictory, shocking information. Incompetent leaders instinctively understand. They need to overload our cognitive resources. When we are constantly busy processing this endless stream of outrages, scandals, threats, we simply have no mental energy left. No strength for critical analysis, for organized resistance, for simply stopping and thinking. Trick 3. Orwellian doublethink. Remember George Orwell and his 1984? The ability to simultaneously hold two mutually exclusive beliefs and believe in both. Incompetent leaders are virtuosos of doublethink, constantly changing their positions, rewriting history on the fly, denying today what they said yesterday. They create an environment in which truth itself seems somehow subjective, fluid, elusive, and therefore accountability becomes impossible. The vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar, Machiavelli wrote, and he wasn't expressing contempt for ordinary people. No, he recognized this common psychological vulnerability inherent in all of us. Our cognitive architecture, our brain, evolved for a much simpler world, and this makes us tragically vulnerable to sophisticated manipulations in modern, information-oversaturated environments. Trick 4. Exploitation of economic insecurity and systemic vulnerability. When people experience economic hardship, when they are unsure about their future, about the future of their children, they become much more receptive to leaders promising simple, quick solutions to complex, structural problems. In depressed, post-industrial regions around the world, economic anxiety, fear of the future, create the most fertile ground for incompetent but loud and populist leadership. Leadership that, instead of honest, complex analysis, offers easy ways out and convenient scapegoats. And now, think about your own media consumption, about how you get information. How often do you find yourself chasing the latest scandalous news, the latest hype, instead of focusing on deeper, more systemic, more important problems? That's the very principle. It's working. Right now. Lesson 9. The Shield Against Manipulation. Your personal defense host. Tone becomes calmer, more constructive, but still serious. Recognizing these dark patterns, these insidious tricks, is undoubtedly necessary. But, alas, not enough. We need concrete, practical strategies. Strategies to protect ourselves and our communities from their destructive influence. And on an individual level, our first main line of defense is awareness. Yes, a simple but such a powerful word. By understanding these hidden forces that try to shape our thoughts, our emotions, our decisions, we become less susceptible to them. This defense, this inner shield, is based on three main practices. Practice 1. Cultivating intellectual humility. What is it? It's not self-deprecation. It's the ability to honestly acknowledge the limits of what we know. The ability to say, I might be wrong. I don't know everything. Research shows that intellectually humble people are much better at evaluating ideas and arguments based on factual evidence, rather than on how confidently or charismatically they are presented. Intellectual humility. It's like a cognitive immune system. It helps us resist manipulation, false confidence, intellectual arrogance, just as our physical immune system protects us from viruses and infections. Practice 2. Developing media literacy. In our age of informational tsunamis, this is vitally necessary. It's the ability to distinguish depth from superficial brilliance, substance from spectacle, facts from fakes. It means a conscious, thoughtful choice of information sources. It means the ability to ask questions about how information is presented, who presents it, for what purpose. It means filtering information by quality, not by quantity or the loudness of headlines. Warren Buffett once wisely remarked, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." Try applying this principle to information. Wise, deep thinkers reject most of the informational noise and garbage and focus on clarity, on substance, on insight. Practice 3. Embracing philosophical reflection. What does this mean? It's the practice of regularly stepping back from the daily storm, from this endless stream of news and events, in order to calmly, thoughtfully explore deeper, fundamental principles. The ancient Stoics, for example, recommended daily reflection to protect themselves from irrational emotional reactions, to maintain clarity of mind. The English philosopher Francis Bacon said, "A wise man will make more opportunities than he finds." Reflection, contemplation. This is what gives us the opportunity to become active participants in shaping our own mental environment, our inner world, and not just its passive consumers. Lesson 10. Building better systems. Collective defense host. Voice gains hope and determination. Individual defense is critically important, but we are social creatures, and therefore we also need collective defense. Institutional design. That's what is crucial at this level. Yes, Systems can be, and must be, structured in such a way as to minimize the impact of bias, deception, and incompetence. And here, as in personal defense, three key pillars also emerge. Three supports. Pillar 1. Robust accountability mechanisms. We need structures that provide honest, objective, timely feedback, regardless of the leader's charm, charisma, or persuasiveness. Compare, for example, a company with a truly independent, strong board of directors, capable of asking uncomfortable questions and demanding answers, and a company where the board of directors merely automatically, submissively approves any management decisions. The tragic crisis with the Boeing 737 MAX jets became a terrible lesson. It showed what happens when the interests of engineers, of safety experts, are ignored for the sake of short-term commercial gain. Accountability was not established in time, and the consequence was tragedy. Pillar 2. Institutions must foster cognitive diversity. What does this mean? It means that in the process of making important decisions, the widest possible range of perspectives, the widest possible range of experiences must be taken into account. Diverse Timon are not just a nod to fashion or political correctness. They are empirically, statistically more accurate in their forecasts and decisions. Why? Because they challenge established assumptions. They identify blind spots that homogeneous groups too often overlook. Pillar 3. We must ensure transparency and adherence to rules that prevent complexity from becoming a shield for incompetence. Laws on the protection of state secrets, for example, or requirements for disclosing information about conflicts of interest in medicine or finance. All these are tools that make it harder to hide important information behind complex professional jargon, behind a wall of bureaucratic secrecy or corporate confidentiality. And, of course, education. Education that ties all these threads together. It's not enough just to teach technical skills, to transmit a sum of knowledge. We are obliged to prioritize the development of critical thinking, ethical reasoning, the ability to see not only what, but also why, and what this will lead to. Ancient Athens created the academy not to churn out craftsmen. Renaissance Florence nurtured humanists not just for show. Great civilizations don't just teach, they cultivate wisdom. Lesson 11. Machiavelli's Testament. Your move in this game, host. Tone becomes more personal, appealing. And now, ask yourselves, in your community, in your country, in your organization, which of these defense mechanisms are truly present? Which are working? And which are desperately lacking? Long pause for reflection. And imagine, just imagine for a moment, what if we really started to rebuild our systems, based on competence, not loyalty, based on intellectual humility, not ostentatious self-confidence, based on truth, not convenient lies? What then could our world become? Pause. As we approach the end of this long, and perhaps not always easy, exploration, we inevitably return to the man who inspired it, to Niccolò Machiavelli. What would he say, seeing our modern situation? He has been cursed for centuries. His name has become synonymous with cynicism and unscrupulousness. But he was not an apologist for those dark, ugly tendencies he so ruthlessly described. Oh no, he exposed them. He was a diagnostician. He lanced the boils of society so that we could try to heal them. He believed that only by understanding how power really works, not how we would like it to work. Can we create better, fairer, more effective systems of governance? It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. Ponder these words of his. Power itself, as some abstract attribute, deserves no inherent respect. Power must be earned by its worthy, responsible, wise use, regardless of whose hands it has fallen into. Pause. Voice sounds firm and convinced. Yes, the intersection of Machiavelli's political philosophy and modern psychology reveals to us extremely uncomfortable, sometimes even repulsive truths about human nature, about social systems. But it is precisely uncomfortable truth. That is what we desperately need if we truly hope to build a better future. The way forward is not to pretend that this dark, perverse dynamic doesn't exist, not to bury our heads in the sand. The way is to understand it deeply enough to be able to transcend it, to outplay it. It is, in designing systems that take into account our common human vulnerabilities rather than ruthlessly exploiting them. It is, in developing personal, daily practices that strengthen our inner resistance to manipulation. And most importantly, it is in recognizing that, although stupidity, ignorance, incompetence may sometimes prevail, may sometimes celebrate their temporary victories, intellect, combined with moral courage, with an ethical backbone, remains our monocle, perhaps our only hope. Hope for creating societies where merit truly matters, where competence is valued, where truth is not an empty sound. Sound effect. The musical theme from the beginning returns, but sounds brighter with hope. Host. Concluding, calm but strong voice. What dynamics have you noticed in your communities, in your life? Have you seen how these patterns, these dark regularities, have played out before your very eyes? Don't be silent. Share your thoughts, your stories. It's important. Discussion is the first step towards understanding and towards change. If this investigation, this immersion into the world of Machiavelli, has made you think, if it seemed valuable to you, share it with others, with those to whom it might perhaps also open their eyes. Until next time. And remember, understanding darkness does not mean surrendering to it. It means acquiring the ability and the strength to create light.